So much of today's sessions, it occurs, is about education and the way we educate and how we do it and reaching children. And our next speaker is Jim Marggraff. He is an MIT grad who has utilized technology and science to help kids learn. He invented Leapfrog, which is now used by millions of kids to learn, and it was in my family as well. And now he has a new invention called Livescribe that again focuses on helping kids. Please welcome Jim Margraff.
Thank you. Great. In the late 80s, National Geographic commissioned Gallup to do a survey of geographic literacy. And what they found was staggering. They found that 1 in 7 US adults couldn't find the United States on an unmarked map of the world. 1 in 7. And they found that 1 in 4 couldn't find the Pacific Ocean. So I looked at this. I had done some traveling and was embarrassed and thought, how are we going to be a major power in the world if not only do we not know name, place, geography, but we also don't know social geography, political, cultural. So thought, okay, can I fix this? And I had gone to MIT, had put myself through school, had a single parent household, so had some challenges along the way and learned to just take an idea and run with it. So I did. And if we put the a slide up, let's see. Oh, the other one. There you go. So I had this idea and said, what if we were to build a product that could be a sphere, that could be used by people, and you could touch it and it would talk to you, and it would be a globe? How many people have seen that? Interactive globe. Okay, well, I had this idea and I talked to my friends, a roommate of mine from MIT, and he said, you're crazy. Why would anybody want an interactive globe? But I persisted and eventually created something that became this. It was an atlas sphere. You'd touch it and you could get tens of thousands of facts about the world. You could drag it across a river, tell you how many miles you were covering, and it was a 12-inch sphere on a base with a self-contained computer. Now, the technology that made this work was interesting. We made a flat or a three-dimensional surface, touch responsive, with high resolution at a low cost. So we went along and won many awards for this. It's a very exciting product. We went into schools. And then I said one day, put a piece of paper on it, said, what if we flatten this technology out and we were to set a paper book on it and we could teach kids to read? So I went to some folks, went to Mike Milken, Mike Wood, who had founded Leapfrog, and some people in the industry, and they said, no. Kids don't want paper. They want video. They want screens. This was in 98. They said, even then, kids don't want paper, it'll never work. So anyway, I tried, built a prototype from this, took it into some schools and sat down with a little girl in a Montessori school and gave her a stylus, and she touched, I said, touch the first word, and she looked at me. She didn't know what the word was. So I helped her, and she touched the stylus to the paper and heard it. Then I said, touch the next one. She knew. Wiggles, leap. And she went on to the next line and started touching it, and she was reading. And there was this moment of a kind of a chill because she had control over this. She understood it. She was able to touch letters, hear their sounds, create phonemes, touch phonemes to make words. So I decided to proceed with this and created something called the LeapPad. And that was we brought this to market in 1999, and we impacted, we think, probably 100 million kids in their reading. Within 5 years, we had LeapPads in 77% of households in the United States with kids from 4 to 7 years of age, and a couple hundred books that taught reading, math, science, geography, literacy, and other topics. So looked at this and said, there are a couple modes of learning here. There is, first of all, I can get kinesthetic touch and I can hear audio feedback, but I want to go further. I'd like to involve speaking and writing, because if we have reading, writing, speaking, listening, we have something very powerful. So did multiple versions, one with a microphone, one with a stylus, but then want to go further. So I read about a technology that would allow us to print some dots on a piece of paper and allow a pen to be able to trace it and to create digital ink. So I had this idea, and I brought that in and created something at Leapfrog at the time called a Smartpen. And that was launched in 2005, and immediately it sold more than the LeapPads. It was quite astounding. And you'd write on paper, and it would speak the words you would write as you would write on paper. But again, I want to go further. So I said, I'd like to actually shift this to be multimodal. So now we could have a computer in your hand that could be a pen, that could one day be your primary writing utensil, that would let you interact in a completely different way and now support reading, writing, speaking, listening, and collapse it. So created this. So I founded the company in 2007, and created what's called the Livescribe Smartpen. And I'd like to show you, first of all, I have a little video. I'll show that, and then I'll give a demonstration of this, and then tie it together with several themes that have been running today. So here is a quick, it's about 2 minutes, but it's the most efficient way to show this. Let's see, there we go.
Note-taking hasn't changed very much in the past 2,000 years. You have an idea, an important task, you try to jot it down so you can remember the conversation and act upon it. Then, if you are a heavy note-taker, you repeat this process on lots and lots of pages. The result? There are millions of pages of notes written every day. But how many of them are actually used later? How many great ideas or important conversations have been lost? In the past 3 years, a very big change has quietly happened. Notes have gone digital. Today, there are over 5 million pages of digital notes, called pencasts. They are on PCs, Macs, websites, and blogs, even iPads and iPhones. Pencasts are interactive notes synced with audio. They are searchable, shareable, and they are made using a pen, a smart pen, by Livescribe. The idea behind Livescribe is to truly set your note-taking free and connect everything you hear, say, and write to your digital world. Livescribe allows you to store your notes safely in your personal cloud, which means you get to play back all of your important notes wherever you want, whenever you want, on any device you want. Let's say you have a big biology test tomorrow. You crack open your computer in the morning and start reviewing pencasts of your class lectures, saving time by searching for keywords in your notes like mitochondria. Later, in your study group, your friends ask for your digital notes from class, which you promptly send to them digitally from your paper. While on the way to the test, you play back some of the more confusing points from the lecture from your iPhone, just to make sure you're ready. Now, imagine if it was that easy to actually use your notes for all your classes, all your meetings, all your ideas, anywhere. With Livescribe Smartpens, notes aren't just useful, they are connected. You can send action items from a meeting directly to your team through Google Docs, or you can email a sketch of your design concept to a client, or even send your friend a love note on Facebook. With everything you hear and write accessible from wherever you are, finding what you need when you need it, and sharing it is easy. That's all your notes in one place. That's truly note-taking unbound. Livescribe. Set your note-taking free.
All right, so I'd like to show you this now. So this is a smart pen, and it's a multimodal computer, but it's the easiest computer you've ever used. You turn it on, and when you start to write with it, it digitizes what you write and saves it. So for instance, here we go. If I write hi, okay? At that point, that's digitized in the pen. When I dock it, it will move to my computer, my PC, my Mac, and optionally move to the cloud so I have a copy of it. But further, if I choose, at the bottom of this page, by the way, this is a piece of paper. It's plain paper that's printed with some controls and has some dots printed on it. The notebooks or ordinary notebooks itself are about the same price of notebooks. And you can download files for this and print your own pages as well for free. So the paper is easy. So once I take this, if I go to the bottom, I have some controls. Down here it says record. If I touch record, my pen now says it's recording. So I'll touch 1, I'll write 1. This is the Echo Smart Pen. There's a speaker, a mic, a display, audio I/O, and a USB port. It has 8 gigs of memory, up to 8 gigs, which hold 800 hours of recorded audio. And what it's doing right now is as I'm writing, it's capturing the ink and the audio and synchronizing the two. So when I go back and I touch the ink on the page, you'll hear played back what I'm saying right now, wherever I touch. And the third part then is the cloud, because now we can move this information out to places like Evernote, to Google Docs, to Facebook, or we can create PDFs, or we can make it accessible to kids in a classroom, from teachers to kids or kids to teachers. So let me pause. I stopped. That was 46 seconds. I'm going to pull the audio plug here for a second. Sorry. And plug it in. So now I'm going to, let's go and touch it. So here it says 1. I'll touch it. So I'll touch 1. I'll turn up the volume. This is the Echo Smart Pen. There's a speaker, a mic, recorded audio. And what it's doing right now is 3 page. You'll hear played back what I'm saying right now. Wherever I touch. This is the Echo Smart Pen. It starts playing exactly a speaker, a mic, at that point in time. If I touch it,
So I'll touch
I can
one.
speed
I'll
it
write
up.
one. This is the Echo Smartpen. There's a speaker, a mic, a display, audio I/O, and a USB port. It has 8 gigs of memory, up to 8 gigs, which will
I can
be
slow
hours
it
of recorded
down.
audio.
I can jump where I choose. I can pause playback. It's that easy to use. Out of the box, write ink, record audio, synchronize it, and you have a record. And it all now is on your computer. Further, I'll show something now advanced. If I choose, I can also tell it to do something. It is a computer. But remember, this is advanced, so don't be threatened. I wrote the word translate.
Spanish.
And now the pen says Spanish. And now if I add a word like O-N-E,
Uno.
it recognizes it, translates it, says it in Spanish, and it can write maybe one. It's almost late in the day, so I'll write beer.
Cerveza.
And how about please? And I write pretty sloppily.
Por favor.
Now what I've written, I can touch again.
Uno. Cerveza. Por favor.
And maybe
Spanish.
let's go to
Mandarin.
Chinese.
啤酒
And if you were to see the display, you can see this in high res. It's very clear. We support any iconographic character.
请
And even,
Mandarin. Arabic.
واحد. بيرة. من فضلك.
now bear in mind, and that's an interesting word.
من فضلك.
So this is all happening in the pen. This is just the speaker I have plugged in. It's entirely self-contained. This is a demo of multiple languages. I can do more. I could choose at this point, if I want, to even do something fun like, and this is just for fun, but I wrote the word piano.
Draw your piano. First, draw 9 vertical lines from left to right.
So we'll draw some lines. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
Connect the lines on the top and bottom.
Let's make a functional object. Draw top and bottom.
Write the letter I. This is your instrument I. Write the letter R. This is your rhythm tracks I. Tap the keys to play.
So we built a keyboard. Okay? So you have once you have this type of device that gives you that type of power, it's pretty good. But let's go back to basic note-taking. Now, what I can do, I'll go back here. We talked a moment about the idea of a pencast, and you heard that referenced. So a pencast is an animated copy of notes. And once this is written, a teacher can take this and draw out a difficult curricular area, send it online, put it on Facebook, on the web, in the Angel system, wherever you'd like, and the students can access that anytime they choose. It turns out this is a pretty big deal because now the kids, you've got 7x24 teaching that's accessible all the time on difficult curricular areas. So here's an example, for instance. This is solving absolute values, and if I take it and click, wherever I click, you'll see, oops, I better plug my audio back in, excuse me. If you could give me audio again. There we go. So here we go. Wherever I click, it starts playing it.
So I need to subtract a 3
I
from
can,
both
if I
sides.
choose,
So
I
my
can
first
scrub the
solution's
ink back and
4.
forth. I can
And
start
my
anywhere, stop
second
anywhere. If I have something difficult, I can
here,
get help.
and this visually,
Visually, she says. So that's an example. Another one would be, this is an example of solving an absolute value problem. Here's a teacher that's created a physics problem. We have teachers around the country posting pencasts to help their students access difficult concepts and content. We have example of students talking as well. Here's a girl.
Plus
She's explaining the idea of
When I
compensation.
do math, I use compensation to help me add. In compensation, I take
Okay, so and beyond this, even teaching language, because now I can look at how to form characters in another language and watch to see how they're drawn and hear how they sound. Okay, so once this happens, here we go. What this means is a lot of power in the hands of teachers to communicate with students, or students to do what are called think-alouds, to deliver this back to teachers so the teacher can listen to the way the student's thinking about a difficult area. The response to this has been incredible. New York Times Magazine, USA Today, Time, Atlantic, we've had coverage, actually about 2 billion media impressions, and we've won many, many awards for this. It's kind of like Khan Academy for the masses, for each teacher. And locally, I spoke with the superintendent last night, Kamala Patton of Collier County, and was astounded. She approached me and she said, Jim, I wanted to meet you. We are using your pens, and it's changing the way kids are learning in our schools. So I wanted to see, actually, in the last 24 hours, this is Monica, and Monica's a teacher in Collier County, and we arranged this just on the spur of the moment to visit with us, and just to say a couple words about what's happened in the schools with the use of smart pens and pencasts.
Yes, I teach at Naples High School, and I record all of my notes every day. I teach geometry, and I have varying abilities in my class, from very low level to very high level students, and it helps both, actually. Number one, I saw it in the beginning for those students who were absent and maybe didn't get to hear the notes the first time, and then they could go online that night because I upload them each day after school. It takes about 5 minutes, and I have them uploaded from the entire day. And those kids can get on there, and I've had them come back the next day, and their homework is complete. They're caught up. They're not behind at all, which is a huge shock for me because they were actually using it, and I was so impressed. And it's happened probably 10 times this year already. For the low-level kids, it's great because some of them have a hard time taking notes and listening sometimes to what I'm teaching at the same time. So they like to listen in class, and then when they get home, they'll go back and re-listen to it and take notes then. It also enables me to not have to write as many notes because they're listening to it. It's recording my voice. So it's helped all of my students. I honestly, they complain if I ever forget one day, or the pen, I run out of ink and it's on order, it's coming in, but I'll still have them complain, when is it gonna come in? They'll ask me every day, and if it takes 2 extra days, they're frustrated because they're so used to it, and it's huge help.
Monica,
so
thank you so much for coming in.
I appreciate your invention.
Thank you.
It's so helpful.
So we spoke, the last speech was about helping teachers and giving them the tools, and this just was spontaneous. This came about last night. So what else came about was this. I thought, why not create a call to action? So this is very soft, but if there's interest in any way, we said, what if we could enable 500 math and science teachers? We already have a couple hundred people and total pens with students and teachers. If there's a way to help 500 math and science teachers provide pencasts to give them access. Second, maybe we could help a lot of students as well. We spoke about this with Kamala this morning, and then what if we could already take Collier County, given that I know people are tied to the county in different ways, and make it a national showcase. So this is something that has already begun, and if we could carry it further, I think it could be very powerful. All right, thanks. So last piece, Randy said this is a storytelling conference. So I have a short story. I'm gonna watch my time very carefully, but it starts here. Something that happened to my son, and I'll tie it together as well. Oops, by the way, this is contact information. Kim Evans, we can make this, or I'm accessible as well for follow-up for the call to action. So I'll see that we have this information shared. So here's the story. My son, a few years ago, when he was 2, we were very proud parents, and of course he was part of what I did through my career with the Globe, and he met that at a young age, and something happened though. At 8 years old, I was sitting in the car, I looked over, he was in a seat next to me and said, Blake, what are you thinking? And he said, I don't know, Dad. And I said, well, here's what I'd like you to do. I'd like you to pick something you're really passionate about and think about it and think of a way you'd like to improve it. Somehow, some idea. And then come up with a problem and then think about that problem. And I want you to carry it with you all the time until you solve it. And then I want you to do it with 3 problems, not 1. So when you go to bed at night, you have a problem to think about, you wake up in the morning, and next time I ask you, I want you to tell me what you're thinking, and I want to hear one of your problems and where you're going with it. So that was at 8. So planted that seed, and we worked it a bit. So in 4th grade, he met a friend, and they actually both had an interest in, of course, explosives. And so I supported this. We built a little chem lab for him in our garage. We got some chemicals through the internet, so watch list, watch out. And there were 2 words I said as well that were part of our upbringing, can't and impossible, which are absent in all of my companies. So they're gone in our family too. But there he improvised the scale, you can see, with a fork and figured out the ratio of mixing gunpowder. But he seemed responsible. He got in Boy Scouts. We were proud. He was a good kid in martial arts. And when he got to high school for his date for the prom, he even negotiated use of an electric car. But then it happened. I got home. I heard a clicking in the kitchen. I walked in the kitchen, saw a rock on the table. He had a hunk of uranium ore on our kitchen table. And all around the kitchen were Geiger counters. They were clicking. So now I'm really nervous and said, Blake, he said, don't worry, it's no more X-ray radiation than you'd get in a plane flight. So I said, okay. I went over to pick it up, and he said, no, Dad, don't pick it up. So it's a little cautious. But here's what happened. He was in high school. He was working on a science project. And he took it off to the high school, convinced them to let him take it there, and he wanted to work on a treatment for cancer. This is 2 years ago. He was 18. And he said, what if we could take tin particles? He read a story about radiation. What if we could put them in a tumor and then expose them to radiation, and then it's something called the Compton scattering effect, which increases the radiation locally, creates more toxicity, and would be more effective treatment for cancer. So he built it. He built it, worked hard at this for months, built it, entered it in a science competition, and laddered his way up until he was selected to go to the Intel, International Science and Engineering Fair, which is a big deal. 7 million kids around the world, ultimately 1,500 of them go to LA for a week, and he was chosen to go down there. Well, the day before they were having the awards, I flew down and met with him. He was there with his partner, Matt, who he'd stayed with. And then the next day came, and they started announcing winners. And they started by saying, well, this year, for the first time, we have a team of 2 people, not 1 person. In fact, it's a team from California, and they're boys from Lafayette, California. And they looked at each other, and there they were. And they ended up winning what's called the Intel Gordon E. Moore Award for Science. And thank you. So I'm way past my line. I have 1 slide. Let me go. So my time. So I have one more challenge. So I've been working on the Livescribe pen. I have a new idea. And this is a new technology. Imagine if we could transform intent into action through your eyes. And what if we could help disabled people that don't have use of their hands to be able to type on a computer screen or control their world, their lights, their wheelchair, look around them? And what if we could advance this technology to help ourselves improve our communication with one another and increase our learning by observing where we're studying notes and look beyond? So I've just started a new company. This is number 5 for me. So I'm working on this, and I think there's something here that is a really big idea and already have some technology and a prototype, and would love people that would like to be involved in any way possible. So thank you very much.